They're out there, and they're always going to be out there because they're always going to be looking at the long game and, most importantly, finding out what we know about what our technology is and what we know about what they have or don't have.
Okay, Pentagon halts Chinese coders affecting DoD cloud systems. I feel like the title of that, this is maybe something rhetorical they should have done for sensitive systems. But here we go. The Pentagon has suspended a Microsoft program that allowed, past tense, Chinese coders under limited U.S. supervision to work on Defense Department cloud systems. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth called this setup a major security risk and a breach of trust. In response, the Pentagon issued a formal letter of concern to Microsoft, ordered a third-party audit of all code written by Chinese nationals, and launched its own investigation. New rules now require all DoD software vendors to eliminate Chinese involvement in cloud systems. Microsoft has since pledged to stop using China-based teams for Pentagon work, a move that underscores growing concerns over foreign access to sensitive U.S. defense infrastructure. The question associated with this, even if no classified information was compromised, which we can put that into the category of a huge variable, what does this incident tell us about how foreign actors might gain indirect access to critical U.S. infrastructure? And before you answer, I'm curious on this one. I don't think many people understand, a lot of our three-letter agencies, both, FBI and then all the milieu of intelligence. The cloud-based systems, these computer-based systems, a lot of the stuff is being uploaded to this. I would almost say if the cloud were to go down, those entities might actually have a really hard time running at the pace that they're running right now.
Right.
So this is a huge issue, in my opinion.
Oh, no, absolutely. FBI, the system that was created so it's only about 15 years ago, where it was the Sentinel system, where all our case files are now kept on this cloud, internal TSSCI system that only accessible through FBI computers. But yes, all casework was. So when I came in the Bureau, we were still in the old school folder, hard copy, 2 pieces of paper, put it in.
That's what I'm talking about.
The
super efficient.
Right. So super smooth. Nothing was lost there. And now with this, if it goes down, this generation of agents won't have any clue to write it and to compute it. But that's not the problem. The problem is that we have, and this is your question is, are we allowing the Chinese nationals to infiltrate? Now, one of my former supervisors way back in the day, he is a very much an exponent of listen, the Chinese are playing the long game here. They don't think in the 4-year span. They think in the 20-year, 30-year plan. So they're not thinking the short game. They're not thinking, okay, what can we get? Of course, they're thinking about what can we get now, but they're thinking of okay, if in 2028 we want to invade Taiwan, what do we have to do now to get these pawns and positions pawns and pieces into position? We have to acquire this. We have to acquire that. What is the U.S. response to this? Our strikes in Taiwan. They're going to move U.S. forces through the Pacific. Well, what can we do to them? Well, we can shut down their grid. We can shut down their cloud systems. So them putting their pieces into position now, I believe I'm not being, that's the sky is falling, but we have to think about that. We have to think about that. These coders were in a position. It was, vulnerable. We have to protect our systems. The Chinese have purchased ports off the coast of Peru where they can dock their warships. So they have a controlling, factor in the Pacific. In Chile, back about 6 months ago, the entire power grid went down. Well, who controls 91% of the power grid in Chile? The Chinese groups. So there was an argument of, was this a test run? Because it was such a hack that so much of the system went down. 95% of the country lost power. The entire country lost power for days. So there was an argument of saying, was this a test run for the U.S.? Listen, if you wanted to strike within the United States, there's no forces that can come, and invade us. Yes, that's the joy of the Pacific and the Atlantic. So how do you strike us? Strike us from the inside out. And having these coders that were in position to possibly put malicious code. You have also a lot of land that's owned by Chinese government groups, Chinese companies. We know that most of them are supported by the CCP. What are they doing on this land? We know that there's hundreds of acres outside bases that are owned. We just saw an amazing strike by Israelis on Tehran. How did the IDF do that? They built a factory outside Tehran. Within the country of Iran, they built a factory which was building all of these drones that were used on the strike in Tehran. So just outside the city of Tehran was IDF forces building these factories. How do we know that the CCP isn't doing that here, right outside Fort Bragg, right outside in Colorado, right outside, Andrews Air Force Base? These are all the pieces we have to think about. And this is one of the pieces. Hey, if they were working on the cloud systems, how do we know that they didn't embed something? Obviously, I hope, Deputy or Secretary of Defense Hegseth is, conducting the investigation. But then, we have to really look at our structure inside and how vulnerable we are, power grid, cloud systems, all of that, how, dependent we are on it.
Everybody, let's be real with each other for a second. Most doctors do not care about optimization. They do care about you, but they're checking your basic labs. They tell you that everything is looking normal, and they're going to send you on your way. Meanwhile, you're feeling tired, your performance is slipping, and you know that something is off, and that is where Marek Health comes in. Marek Health isn't your typical doctor's office. They're a next-level health optimization platform that actually listens to you, runs advanced lab testing, and helps you optimize your hormones, your metabolism, and your overall performance. So whether you're looking to boost your energy, maybe gain some muscle mass, or you just feel like you're not your best self anymore and you want to change that, Marek gives you those tools and can help you make it happen. You have two options. You can go with their guided optimization program and get a dedicated health coach and medical provider to help you with supplements and prescription treatments. Or if you're more of a do-it-yourself type of person, you can order self-service lab tests and take control of your health on your own terms. The best part is, either option that you pick, you can get 10% off of your order right now. Just go to marekhealth.com and use the code FOCALPOINT at checkout. That's MAREK health.com with the code FOCALPOINT for 10% off.
I want to thank our partners over at Ammo Squared. They've built what they call America's Ammunition Reserve. Basically, this is an ammo savings account. You can sign up, pick from more than 70 different calibers. You can set an auto-buy budget and either choose a shipping schedule, or you can just let your personal reserve grow. Over time, your ammo stacks up and is stored for free in their climate-controlled facilities in Texas and Idaho until you are ready to ship. There are no minimums. There's no extra fees. It works whether you have a small budget or you just don't want to drop a few grand all at once. Thank you so much, Ammo Squared, for providing this cool service and for supporting the show. I mean, sometimes people, or in this case, countries, they're showing you and telling you exactly who they are. You can watch their behavior. You can listen to what they say. I mean, like you mentioned, the properties that are being scooped up around military bases. I think recently in the news, 2 more soldiers were wrapped up. They had been recruited by what they thought. Actually, they had been recruited by Chinese nationals, but then got flipped over. I believe it was to an FBI person that they were talking with. And, their access and placement to, I think one of them was providing some information on an M1 Abrams tank, which is probably 20 years old. I'm not saying it's necessarily cutting edge, but those are the things that we know about.
Yeah.
Whether it's IP theft, tech-based attacks on U.S. systems or infrastructure, we are very aware that these things are happening. I don't understand why Microsoft would outsource a Department of Defense any portion of anything touching the DoD. I don't know why they would be allowed or even be allowed to even consider outsourcing that to a country that, at least internally, I know they have a lot of propaganda externally facing. We are permissive. We want to be involved. We want to be a part of the global community. But internally, if you listen to the way that they educate their own citizens, the way they talk, the West is the absolute enemy. We are evil. Yeah. We are beneath them. So, why? I don't know how anybody could think it would be a good idea to outsource coding of extremely, at least sensitive platforms to what appears to be, based off of actions and their own words, a near peer adversary, not an ally.
Yeah, no, it's, you have to get down to it is, what is, and it's all, I'm going to say to the point of it's capitalism that's creating that competition. Microsoft knows that to be the one who gets that contract, to be successful, they may have to go to, group X to successfully keep that contract. And they'll do whatever it takes to keep that contract. What Microsoft is most concerned about, and this is all, again, my opinion, this is not, making any allegations. Microsoft, I believe, and just like any other company, is worried about the bottom line and the stockholders.
No,
their secondary,
you're telling me that money motivates people?
Exactly. And the secondary is, all right, we'll worry about national security, but we need to make sure we make money for our stockholders. So yeah, if they do that and, we get a couple, I would say to the point where Microsoft is probably saying, hey, that's your job at the government to find out if there's bad actors in these guys. It's not our job. So yeah, I would say that their concern is the bottom line, and it puts it on the FBI and, agencies, the other 3-letter agencies, to find those bad actors. And if they hire 600 different coders and one of them is bad, they got 599 that were good. Okay, you got one, but we got 599 that were good. So I look at it as not every Chinese is a member of the CCP. Not every Chinese.
Yeah, it's very fair.
Right. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. But companies that are based in China, in my opinion, are probably, especially larger ones, which have a large influence here in the United States, have a large influence to, provide information back to CCP headquarters. Students that are being sent over here and, being going to college and university are being trained up here. You know what they're also doing? They're scoping out, and again, I'm sure 90% of them are good, but there's still that 10%, which are probably working for the CCP. And what they're doing is they're gathering intelligence. All right, who are the smartest kids in the class? Who are the ones that are going to go on? Let me get information on them. And it's the long game. They're not looking at, a college kid at Harvard right now. They're looking at what that college kid in Harvard that is a senior now, where's he going to be in 10 years? And that they gather the intelligence on him now so that in 10 years, they can influence him to provide information back to the CCP based on something he did in Harvard. So it's a long game.
Yeah. I would love to think that somebody, I don't know, there's a lot of teeth on the gears that make the country work for sure. But I would love to believe that somebody in one of these massive wheels is smart enough to think like, hey, all right, we're moving in a direction of cloud-based, this, that, or the other. We are going to build this system, but I got an idea. For sensitive infrastructure, whether it be intelligence agencies or matters of national defense, no contracting outside of the U.S. You know what I mean? Like, use it for other stuff if you need to, because it's like, great, they're having an investigation now. Even in my limited understanding of tech, cool, you might find something, but from my understanding, if people are really good at this, it might already be too late. Whether it's a backdoor or something, a switch that they can throw later on, not a physical switch metaphorically, obviously, or coding. I mean, cool. We're doing an investigation. It may not actually change anything when push comes to shove.
I don't think it will. I mean, listen, technology and the world is evolving exponentially as we see it. AI is moving into the new territory. Internet was the 90s and the early 2000s. Now it's AI. What can we make AI? So I think that there's always an interest to see what we're doing and to get involved in what we're doing. I mean, heck, we know for a fact of North Korean actors were applying for jobs, tech jobs and IT jobs here in the United States via, all those job hiring websites. And they were applying for these jobs and they were remote work, but they were doing it from North Korea because they would get access to the databases and the IT systems for these private companies. And listen, if they're going to throw everything at and exactly what you said earlier, we're seeing, these one or two actors that were found outside bases trying to get access and looking at M1 Abrams and all those tanks. But there's a lot more that is out there. And so those are it's the ones that we're not finding that concerns me. And those are because the easy ones are going to get caught. But it's the really experienced ones that are really concerning. And they're out there and they're always going to be out there because they're always going to be looking at the long game and, most importantly, finding out what we know about what our technology is and what we know about what they have or don't have.
Yeah. Be better, Microsoft. That's my final thoughts.
Yeah.